So first it was the pandemic, then came the long lines at airports, and now the latest headache for travelers is renewing a passport. So these long lines at Service Canada offices, I mean, you may have seen them, you may have been in them, you may be in one right now. They're a common sight, as some people say the post-COVID travel rush has forced them to camp out overnight just to have a shot at getting their passports on time. Joining us this morning is Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, Minister Karina Gould. Minister, good to have you on this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What is causing all of these delays?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. I mean, the first is that after 2 years of people staying home, there's a desire to get back out into the world and to travel. And so that's completely understandable. But what's actually different about this is that it's not actually a lot of passport renewals. That's only about 12 to 15% of what we're getting. It's actually people who are getting a passport for the very first time. So about 85% of these are brand new passports, either for, babies and children that have been born over the past couple of years here in Canada, new citizens who are getting their Canadian passport for the first time, or adults who hadn't previously had a desire to travel outside of Canada before the pandemic, but now want to do this.
I want to ask you, why does that matter?
Yeah, it matters because it's a lot longer to actually process these passports, because to renew, we already have all of your information, we verified you're a citizen, and we have a simplified renewal process. And we actually put that in place in anticipation of a surge following the moment when travel restrictions would be lifted. What we didn't anticipate, the volume of new applications for first-time passport holders. And passports, it's not just any old document, it's a secure document. It actually belongs to the government of Canada. It's one that, is the integrity of Canadian citizenship. And so to go through having a passport for the first time, there's a lot more verification and checks that have to happen to ensure the integrity of the document.
So, and I understand you've said that you've hired 600 new officers to help out with this. You're going to hire another 600 throughout the year. We're talking those 600 right across the country, though. So what are these new officers doing exactly?
Yeah, so we hired 600 already in January in anticipation that there was going to be a surge. We're in the process of hiring an additional 600, but we're also reallocating resources internally because we have a couple of challenges going on. First, pre-pandemic, about 80% of passports were processed in person at a Service Canada centre. That changed over the course of the pandemic, and it's actually 80% that are in the mail channel. And so we need to have more people that are simply opening and verifying mail. That's something that we've experienced a huge surge in, particularly in February, March, April, and May. We're seeing more people going to in-person service, although as you saw in Montreal this week, that hit a complete breaking point. I heard earlier you said 150 people camped out. There were actually 750 people just at one location in Montreal. There were hundreds of more at other locations. What's happening in Quebec right now is it's in the lead up to the Saint Jean holiday on Friday as well as Canada Day. And so it's a mix of people who have both had an application in the system, but also people who just want to travel in the coming days and are showing up to get a passport. But that volume is beyond what a normal Service Canada centre can handle. It can handle probably comfortably 150 to 200 people a day, but when you get to 750, it's really challenging.
And listen, I do appreciate that you're posting these times as just so people know how long they're going to be waiting. But here's the thing, these figures are really, like we looked this morning to figure out how long you would be waiting in Toronto today or Montreal, et cetera. But these figures are released at 9:30 in the morning. So it got our team thinking, okay, at what stage, most offices are already open for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. The lineups will be too long for you to join. So what's the point of posting it at 9:30 when it doesn't really help us?
Well, it's just to give people a sense of what the difference is around the country, but also what they can expect. What we're seeing actually in Ontario and other places across the country is that if you're in line, the line moves quite well throughout the day. And, we're getting about 150 to 200 people. And so you may be waiting 4 or 5 hours, but you're going to be seen that day. when you have over 400, 500, 700 people, this is where it gets really challenging, and that's what we're experiencing in Montreal. But what we are seeing is, these long lineups before the Service Canada Centre actually opens. But what we have instituted now is that at 7 a.m. at all of the busy centres across the country, and there are about 10, and they're in the major metropolitan areas: Toronto, Montreal, Brampton, Mississauga, Vancouver. Those are the real hot spots. At 7 a.m., there's going to be a team of managers that are going outside to triage the line, to give people information, to give them a ticket to come back at a later time so that they're not standing in line for 6 hours, and to say, come back at this window, that's when we're going to serve you, because there should be no reason for people to have to wait in line.
Yeah, and to camp out, Minister, I know it's just tough to see. It's tough for everybody. I know it's a challenging situation. We'll see how it rolls out. Minister Gold, thanks for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's talk strategy now, how to navigate these travel challenges. Joining us is travel expert Anne-Marie Mediwake. Natalie, nice to see you this morning. Did you see this coming?
I did anticipate it, with my youngest, who was born during the pandemic. When we had that first wave where we thought we might be traveling again, I went and got his passport right away. So I would recommend the same thing for anyone. If you are traveling in 45 days or more, or even anticipate traveling in the next year, I would apply for your passport now for your babies. Now, don't go and stand in line. You only need to be in person if you're traveling within 45 days. So I would, if you don't have it now, I would apply through the post, online, and just so you have it, and get the 10-year passport. So
yeah, that's key too. I'm so glad I got that last time, to be honest, especially looking at these lines. Now, I was one of those people during the pandemic, I hadn't looked at the kids' passports, right? So I looked at my youngest daughter and was like, oh, I got to renew it. Luckily, I was a couple months ago. But do you have some tips for people who are in that situation? They're looking at the passport going, oh, okay, I've got to do this now. So what are your tips for people who need to renew it as quickly as possible?
Unfortunately, it is just waiting in those lines, using the ticket system that the minister just told us about. That's a great option. There are emergency offices. They are different offices than the passport lines you're seeing right now. It will cost a lot of money, and you can get them within 2 days, though, if it is an emergency. Other than that, I would say look at Canada. Look at where you can go without a passport, because we have a beautiful country and so many different things to do here. And if you are booking something and your passport, might be on the edge near expiration, I'd get a flex ticket, which means you have
I wanted to ask about that. Yeah, because if you haven't booked your flight yet, and everybody knows what's going on with the passport offices in this country, what sort of options do you have in terms of flexibility when you're booking that ticket?
Yeah, so you can buy, if you look when you're buying a flight, for instance, there will be a flex option, and then there'll be the standard basic option. You want the flex option. You also want to check your insurance just to see, in the small print, what exactly things cover. Again, my advice is to have a Canadian destination on backup. Because, if it doesn't come through, you're stuck. But, we have seen that the numbers, people who are in line, they are getting their passports within 10 working days, people that are, getting through these long lines.
You just gotta get there,
you just have to get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, Anne-Marie Mediwake, always good to see you. Thanks so much for checking in with us.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.